Well, unfortunately, Aftyn Behn came up short against the Republican in Tuesday's special election that took place in Tennessee, but even though she didn't win, she made the Republicans work really hard for that victory, which is embarrassing for them, seeing as how Trump carried that district by 22 points in 2024. But as you can see, she came within 9 points of the Republican and managed to swing all 14 counties in the district towards Democrats, more than half of which by double digits, mind you. So while it would have been nice to see her pull off a dub, you simply cannot minimize what she managed to accomplish. On top of that, her overperformance in this district could be a sign of impending doom for Republicans in next year's midterms, as CNN's data analyst explains.
Republicans should be running for the hills this morning because the blue wave is building, my dear friend, Mr. Berman. What are we talking about here? Well, Matt Van Epps, the Republican candidate, he won it by 9, but this is a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points, 15 points, 17 points. This is a 13-point gain for the Democrats in terms of the margin, and excuse time for Republicans is over, because I hear all about these special elections. Oh, the turnout's so low, it's not representative of what happened in the midterm election. The turnout last night in Tennessee's 7th district was equal to the turnout in the 2022 midterm election. So the blue wave, it seems to be building right out of center of Tennessee.
Interesting. I mean, so in terms of the numbers, the turnout looked like a regular midterm election, not a special election.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
The fact that turnout in this special election was comparable to the 2022 midterms is crazy, because if you see as big of a swing across the country as we saw in this one deep red district in Tennessee, it results in an absolute bloodbath for Republicans. In fact, the math was already done. It'd give the Democratic Party a 250-seat majority in the House. So, not the best news for Republicans, and we have good reason to believe that Tennessee isn't an outlier based on Democrats' overperformance in November's special elections.
What we see happening is, take a look here. Okay, 2025 U.S. House special elections. Dems outrunning Kamala Harris. A lot of blue here, a lot of blue, which is what I think the nation might look like a year from now if these results hold. Arizona 7, you see a 17 outperformance of Kamala Harris. 23 points in Florida 1, 16 points in Florida 6, 13 points in Tennessee 7, 28 points in Texas 28, and then 17 points in Virginia 11. So we've seen it throughout the nation, whether you go from the suburbs of Washington, D.C., all the way to the southwest in Arizona, whether you're looking at Texas, whether you're looking at Tennessee, whether you go down to Florida, we have seen the Democratic outperformance of Kamala Harris happening across the political map. What happened last night in Tennessee ain't just staying in Tennessee. It is spreading itself throughout the nation. As I said, to me, looking at these results, it looks like a blue wave is building.
And it's not just that it's blue, it's that it's double-digit blue.
It is exactly right. It's double-digit blue. I will note, I looked at the stats. If, in fact, you had a 13-point shift like we saw in Tennessee, and you applied that to the 2024 presidential map, we are talking about a gain for Democrats of north of 40 seats.
All right, in terms of the history, what does this mean as we project forward?
Okay, so we're looking at these special elections, we're sort of applying these hypothetical numbers, right, in terms of, Democrats would gain north of 40 seats if, you moved everything over, 13 points from the 2024 presidential result. But we actually have history to show that what happens in special elections doesn't just stay in special elections. It spills over to the midterm results. Special elections and midterm results. I just keep going to this. When a party outperformed in special elections since 2005, 5 out of 5 times they went on to win a majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. What happened last night in Tennessee is a very, very bad omen for Republicans and a very, very good omen for Democrats.
Exactly. And Republicans are never going to show any signs of fear, but make no mistake about it, they know what's coming. Even Trump just offered a very standard congratulatory message to the Republican on Truth Social and didn't even bother to bloviate about how this is a sign that America first is back, baby. Because I think that even he knows that that is not the case. You should never have to work this hard for a seat in a deep red district. So the fact that it was this close, it kind of tells them, not too good. Although, to be fair, I didn't go all the way down in Truth Social to see if Trump said anything else about this. I just found that one post from him. I always just kind of like get in and get out because I feel dirty. I don't want to get a virus and all of the boner pill ads and the hearing aid ads and the ivermectin ads. I worry about my computer safety. So, maybe he said something and I just missed it. But nonetheless, it's not something to really be super proud about, But overall, the muted response from Republicans, it does tell me that they know they're in danger, even though they're trying to not show that on their faces. Like they're putting on a brave face, but deep down they're shitting themselves. And they're admitting this behind the scenes. Politico reports, tonight is a sign that 2026 is going to be a bitch of an election cycle, said one House Republican granted anonymity to speak candidly. Quote, Republicans can survive if we play team and the Trump administration officials play smart. Neither is certain. We've got another. Quote, I'm glad we won, but the GOP should not ignore the Virginia, New Jersey, and Tennessee elections, Representative Don Bacon, who is retiring from his swingy Omaha-based district, said. We must reach swing voters. America wants some normalcy. Good luck with Trump in power. Another one, it was too close, said one House GOP leadership aide, who was also granted anonymity to candidly discuss the race. I love how none of them will go on the record and just say what's obvious to everybody else. GOP strategist Matthew Bartlett says, none of it bodes well for the GOP in the midterms. Being an ostrich with your head in the sand on the key issues that matter most to Americans is not a strategy, or certainly not a winning one. Ted Cruz even weighed in, saying, it was dangerous. We could have lost this district because the people who showed up, many of them are the ones that are motivated by how much they dislike President Trump. In a year, it's going to be a turnout election and the left will show up, he added. Hate is a powerful motivator. You're damn right it is, because we hate that motherfucker. Now, even the Republican in this race, Matt Van Epps, who I mistakenly called Mike Epps, I believe throughout the entire last video that I did about this race, he is Matt Epps, not Mike Epps. Mike Epps is a beloved actor, whereas Matt Epps is a GOP hack. But even he's acknowledging that he was able to pull off a victory because he attached himself to Trump, meaning that there was a weakness there. And this is just a tacit admission here, but he's recommending that other Republicans do the same thing, and I just don't feel like he should be giving anyone advice, seeing as how he had to fight for his life in a deep red district. With that being said, carry away, Matt, because I hope that you do continue to tell other Republicans to attach themselves to our dementia-ridden rapist fascist dictator, because I don't think that's going to go as well as you think it will. But here's what Matt fails to realize. If this trend continues, he might not be as secure in the seat that he just won as he thinks he is, because if momentum continues to shift in the opposite direction towards Democrats and against Republicans, by 2026, Democrats might actually be able to pull off wins in districts like this. Because right now, they'll get a 250-seat majority approximately if things just stay the same. But if momentum continues to move in their direction, we could see blowouts and wins in deep red districts. And the good news is that Aftyn Behn might be down for a rematch.
So you're leaving the door open to, if you lose this race tonight, to potentially running again?
Perhaps, yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously I have to rest for a few days and circle back with my team, but we've run an amazing race, all things considered. The deck was stacked against us, especially in the deep red South, and we've narrowed the margin. And for me, that is a celebration worth having.
Hell yes, and I hope that she does. Now, I should note, by the way, that all of my viewers, all of you lovely people, roasted the ever-loving shit out of me, rightfully so, by the way, for saying that she was a run-of-the-mill Democrat in my last video about this race, and I just want to take the time to say, I am so sorry I misjudged you, Queen. I wasn't familiar with your game. I did not realize that you were endorsed by the DSA of Tennessee, so kudos to you. In my defense, though, whenever I'm trying to learn something about a candidate, the very first thing that I do is I go to their website, and one, I look if there's an issues page. If there's an issues page, I then see if they support Medicare for all, and she did not check either of those boxes. So, that kind of colored my perception of her as a candidate. That being said, she's very clearly not a run-of-the-mill Democrat if she's DSA endorsed, and I was very wrong about that. And, she also refers to the genocide in Palestine as a genocide, so kudos to her. I think she's a great candidate. Maybe she was hiding her power level. Either way, I'd be happy to see her run again because she's incredibly charismatic and likable, and most importantly, she almost pulled off a win in a deep red district. That takes talent, which the Democratic Party is lacking right now. So, she knows what she's doing, and I do hope that she runs again. And the fact that it was even this close, again, gives me a little bit more hope for the midterms, because even though Trump and the Republican Party, they're already trying to rig it through gerrymandering and voter suppression and other bullshit shenanigans, it might just be too big to rig based on what we're already seeing, just not even a year into Trump's administration. And if Democrats take back the House, we might finally see some goddamn accountability for this rogue criminal regime. Certainly Hakeem Jeffries isn't going to allow that to happen if he has any say, because, he's already saying they're not going to prosecute or impeach Pete Hegseth, I believe. But if Democrats kind of subvert him and try to hold these criminals accountable anyway, I think that is objectively a good thing. So in the end, we did not get the news that we wanted out of Tennessee yesterday, but it's still a really positive sign of what's to come if nothing changes.